Oh, how are we? I'll explain in a second. So I went to bed last night and I got up this morning and my computer had reset itself. It was bored. It needed something to do and it reset everything. And I don't, does this color seem a little more colorful than usual? When I turned on the camera, I thought, whoa, that's kind of orange. So you'll let me know. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Abby Hagyard, and this is My Little Place in the World. And you have joined me for episode 244 on this little journey of ours. And I want to thank you for doing that. And I want to tell you something. Good morning, Freddie. Nice to see you. I want to tell you something really incredible as far as I'm concerned. So I was jumping all over the place and waving my hands and smiling and clapping because from last Thursday until Tuesday, I had for the first time ever 300 views of my Thursday video. Which one was it? Episode 242. And I was completely overwhelmed and amazed because the typical number of views is like 70 or 80. And all of a sudden, Shazam. And I'm so grateful and I'm so happy. And I thought, wow, that's like 60 people a day, right? 5 days, 60 people, 300 and whatever it was, 308. Okay. So this morning, today's Thursday, it's a week later, I looked at the video views from just 2 days ago. And we're at 281. That's 140 a day. I have no idea. I have no idea why or how. All I want to say is, aren't you amazing? Aren't you amazing? Thank you. So my voice is a little hoarse because I went out to spend some time with this group of people that I've been friends with for since 2002, and we used to get together every week, and now we get together every few months. And there are 3 of us in the group who have April birthdays, so it's kind of a group hug, right? And it was loud, and so I was talking over the noise, so I sound a little bit like I'm clearing my throat a lot, so I apologize. So quick sip. And then I want to talk to you about what I want to talk to you about. You know that something is good when you taste it and you make a mooing sound. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. Many years ago, somebody that I admired a lot said to me, "Do you know the WIIFM Song?" And I said, "The what?" And the WIIFM Song. And I said, what are you talking about? And I said, what is it? The word WIIFM? And yeah. And it's spelled WIIFM. Do you know the song? And I said, I don't think so. Not like I'm a singer, not like I have a repertoire, a playlist. And this friend of mine said, well, actually you do. Everybody has the WIIFM song. Everybody sings it all the time, every day, awake and asleep. And I said, really? What is it? And the letters WIIFM stand for what's in it for me. And the fascinating thing about that question is that we don't consciously ask it. We never really say, that kind of thing. Although we might say it in conversation with somebody who says, hey, you want to do this? And Carol Hay will tell you that if she asks me to do something that I really don't want to do, I say, am I in it? Which is the same thing. Want to come and see a play? Am I in it? That means no, I don't want to see a play unless I'm in it. And it always gets an eye roll from her. Why do I even ask? I don't know. So what's in it for me is this value judgment that we make. And so, for instance, what's in it for you to check your watch and say, oh, Abby's doing her video. I'm just going to put a pause on that. I want to watch the video live because, I can watch it anytime. But if I'm watching it live, then I can comment, and I know she's going to respond because she can see the comments as they come up. And that's kind of part of the fun, right? So what's in it for me is another way of saying, why is this better than my other options? What does this give me that is worth my investment, time, energy, focus, money, whatever? If I'm going to go to a show, why am I going to get off the couch, put on pants, get in the car, face the front, park, spend money on the ticket, and then, be present? What's in it for me? What do I get back? And a lot of us are doing it in order to keep doing what we've always done. Status quo. My status in the status quo is that people like me do things like this. If I shift, if I change, I don't know if I'm going to like the change. So I'll stay where I am and I'll keep doing what I do. Well, good morning, Paul. How are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how's your day so far? And the idea of asking consciously what's in it for me is to realize the conversation that we're having, is to recognize the internal loop that's playing in the head. What's in it for me? Freddie, you're an 8. Of course you are. Of course you are. Early days, it could be a 9.5 by the end of the day. What's in it for me to prioritize this? Or alternatively, what's in it for me to make the effort to engage, to stay present? What's in it for me? What do I get? Is it easier for me to stay home? Is it easier for me to just kind of, keep on doing nothing? Is it easier for me to just keep on doing the thing I'm doing because it's not that bad? Is it easier for me to go with the flow because I don't want to disrupt anything? I just want to be part of what's going on. I don't really have the time or the energy, frankly. I don't have the energy. Oh God, another new thing. Well, what is this what do I have to do? All right, what do I have to do? And when I first used the conversation, used the opportunity, a very wonderful friend of mine had introduced me to a fellow who runs a chain of fitness studios. And she had said to him, you need to meet with Abby. And he said, why? Because clearly fitness studio, Abby, clearly. And she said, because she's going to tell you what your people want now. Well, I think I know what my people want, he said. And she said, no, you don't. None of us do. We're too busy doing. We're too busy in it to take a step back and see if anything's changed. And so he met with me because he respected her highly. And she was a real fitness. She is incredibly fit. And when he came in, he was a few minutes late. And when he came in, I was sitting in this coffee shop, and he came in, and he, I could see him at the door, kind of doing a reset. And then he came in with a big smile. I could see him. And of course, he's a public figure. He does a lot of this stuff. He has to go to a lot of places he doesn't want to be. And so he knows how to do it. He knows how to get himself in the right space on the other side of the door and then come in 100%. I saw him do it. And when he sat down, I said, before we talk about why I'm here, I want to tell you why you're here. And he said, really? And I said, yep. And he said, I'm all ears. And I said, you're not here to meet me. You're here to honor and respect your friend. And he said, how do you know that? And I said, because there couldn't possibly be any way you could visualize a what's in it for you to sit down with somebody like me. There's no way you could navigate that. And he said, what did you just say? And I said, what's in it for me? It's the WIIFM song. You came because you respect her. And I'm very grateful. That was why you came. I'm going to have this conversation with you to change the reason why you stay and why you stay present. And he said, is that a fact? I said, it is a fact. It is a fact. I don't say these things lightly. And he said, all right, give me your best shot. And I said, I know something about your clientele that you don't know. He said, yeah, that's what she said. I find that hard to believe. And so then we continued to have the conversation. And at one point, I said, I want to pause us for a second. And I want to ask you just right now, because we really got into a great conversation. He was 100% in. We were arguing and debating and looking at and agreeing and disagreeing. And I said, I just want to pause right now. You're not here for her anymore. You're here for this. This is what's in it for you. And he said, you're right. You're right. Yeah. And I said, what happened? And he said, you surprised me. You knew something I didn't know. And I know this isn't your area of expertise. And I said, oh, it is my area of expertise. Fitness isn't my area of expertise. People is my area of expertise. Patterns of behavior, profiling, herd movements, navigation tools. That's my thing. Doesn't matter what you do. It's why they come. And it was the first time. So he kind of liked the WIIFM song. And I said, and it was the first time I had said, nobody really thinks about this consciously, and they need to. But the point is, in all things, their why is my how. And he said, say it a different way. And I said, why they come gives me the direction I need to take to get them to keep coming. I get to see what I need to do to make the WIIFM song about this experience with me, with us, with my team. They came for a whole other reason. Their why, when they showed up the first time, nothing to do with me. I need to change that. I need to be their focus. And I said, and people don't spend any time on that. They don't, because stuff. So when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk to you today about, I was noticing something very interesting about the video I did last Thursday and the video I did yesterday and the video I'm doing today, I hope, is that I realized that it took me a while, 241 takes. It took me a while to realize that our connection, yours and mine, began with You Can't Do That on Television, began with the Care Bears, began with whatever it was you saw me doing that mattered to you. And every time you see me, every time you see my mom costume over there, every time you see the pictures of the Care Bears, every time you see all my silly shoes and hats, I'm reminding you of that first time we met. What hadn't dawned on me is how valuable, how important, how life-changing those shows, those stories, those characters, that writing, those actors, I hadn't really grasped how invested you have been in those things. I hadn't fully understood that when you see You Can't Do That, when you hear na 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 na, when you see the costume, when you see me, when you see my name, when you see any of the posts that I put up that involve anything to do with that show, you are reminded of what was in it for you. You're with them. The first time, the second time, every time. You made the time to watch that show. The extraordinary thing about You Can't Do That on Television, that incredible recipe, the writing, the vision that Roger Price had, the incredible crew, the people who directed and navigated all the stuff, the special effects people, the makeup, the hair, the costumes, everything, the kids, the coaching, the concept, 30 seconds of pure silliness, followed by another 30 seconds of pure silliness with maybe a message just kind of tucked in under there without any preachy. We still are. We have not lost our place as number one best show to touch kids right where they needed it most. The hug, the affirmation, the validation, the celebration, the utter kookiness of it. I mean, we we reinvented the concept of toilet humor. We had Ted come out of a toilet, a giant toilet. Ted stands up. It's not what people thought toilet humor was before. We gave every person standing on a threshold a turning point moment in their lives, leaving childhood and peering into teenage years. We gave you a comfort zone. We gave you a validation space. We gave you something no one had ever given you before. And we knew it. I knew it. It just never, the details didn't align until the other day. And I thought, wow, that is exactly why more people have watched the last two videos. Because I am bringing back for you, with you today. I'm not dressed as mom. You're seeing Abby. You're seeing the woman who wore the costume. You're seeing the woman, the actress, the writer, the creator, the communicator, who figured out how to be the offset humor with less lie. You're seeing the woman who figured out how the kids needed to have a different kind of anchor point. Less, God bless him, brilliant, genius. The kids needed an offset. And that's what I provided. I knew all these things. It just took me that moment to say, yes, I'm assuming something. I've made a mistake. All those other videos that have equal message value in them, you didn't prioritize the time. As many of you didn't prioritize the time because you couldn't immediately see your WIIFM. You couldn't see it right away. And by the way, busy, and by the way, distracted. And it's not a guilt, shame, blame thing. It's my bad. I made an assumption. I jumped 3 steps and wondered why nobody was stepping with me. Keen but slow. And so this is what I want to talk about today, because you know what? It's turning into spring, right? It's getting colder, but not as cold, and it's getting warmer and warmer than it was before, right? So what is so interesting about the WIIFM song is that if we actually make ourselves aware of it, if we actually say it out loud, what's in it for me? If we do that, Jason, You Can't Do That was lightning in a bottle. Yes, it was, Jason. There was something pure and honest in that show that can't be recreated with focus. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And the purity and the honesty and the innocence of it partly was because we produced it in a vacuum. We didn't know we were famous. The kids had no idea what, because it wasn't seen by millions of people around the world. Here in Ottawa, Ottawa was a very, very small town then, and it was only seen occasionally. It wasn't available 24/7 if you wanted it. And we didn't bump into people on the street who say, oh my God, can I have your autograph? If somebody said, excuse me, it was because we left our shopping cart in the way, right? And then the other thing that Jason is talking about, the purity and the honesty in the show. We didn't, I say we, I was maybe a rudder. It's Carol Hay who was the engine and the navigation tool. We didn't teach kids how to act. We taught kids how to be real, how to allow themselves to be themselves in a crazy situation. It may look like a kitchen on camera, but it's a corner of a fake kitchen in an airplane hangar sized room with a big grid over top with lights hanging from it and a bunch of grown people standing around big cameras and sound and special effects and makeup people all gathered around just the periphery in case they're needed. That's a really weird situation to be in for anybody. And what Carol gave them was an understanding through regular practice. There was no cracking the whip. Carol gave them permission to practice being themselves rather than trying to be like anybody else. We use their real names to help them stay focused on that. So Alistair behaved like Alistair. Lisa behaved like Lisa. Christine was Christine. Kevin. Doug. If you meet any of them today, they're who they are. They're taller, not Doug. They're taller. They're older. They do different stuff now. But you spend 5 minutes with them, and you realize you're talking to the same person you knew. When we all collaborated on the Fame book, when I interviewed them and we talked, I was on the phone with kids who are now 40. How have you been? Says Mom. Not bad, Mom. How about you? And then we talked about what it was like all those years ago, how they felt about being in something that gave them another identity. How they were still Alistair, they were still Kevin, but they were famous Alistair, famous Kevin, not just the kid next door. And it was a really interesting conversation because they hadn't had a chance to talk about it a lot. They hadn't had a chance to look back on it. They hadn't had the opportunity to think about what was in it for them after the first novelty wore off, because it was a nuisance to have to not plan something right after school because you had to go to the studio, you had to go to the station and rehearse. And then on the way home, it was now time for dinner and you had to do your homework because to be on the show, you had to keep your grades up. So they had to bow out of and say, no, I can't, to a lot of things and a lot of activities with their buddies, their pals that they missed. They had to make that decision. And then they had no weekends free when we were recording. So it was a big commitment. It was a commitment of responsibility and time and focus. And what saved the show, what saved all of us, was there was no interference from the outside. There was nobody saying, oh my God, you're amazing. And none of the kids had an opportunity to get a swelled head. So that's what Jason's talking about. There was the honesty and the purity. The self-awareness wasn't ego-driven. The self-awareness, we'd do a take, and then we'd look, they'd play it back on the TV monitors in the studio, and we would hear Brenda or whomever saying, okay, see that? Yeah, we need you closer this way. Let's do it again. And they could see, oh yeah, I stood too far away from the couch. It ruined the shot. Okay, my bad, sorry. And it was nobody, what were you doing? What were you thinking? Nobody was yelling at you. We were all doing it and then looking at it and then doing it better for a better outcome. And there's no room for ego there. You're totally focused on a process that you are a part of. Without you, the process is incomplete. These are incredible events, incredible opportunities for anybody at any age to be invited to participate in something that didn't exist before we did it. Every day, every sketch. That sketch didn't exist until we did it on camera. And they said, we're keeping that one. Out of nowhere, we made that. So when you're looking at it and you see that it's a team effort, it's a group effort, but you actually see that it's a team effort. It's not, we're all a family, we're all a team. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. No. You realize that if you're standing here and Lisa moves that way and then Les turns his head this way, it doesn't work. You see the structure not working. If Les moves his head this much, if Lisa comes this way, if the camera moves over there, if we move the panel buffering the light and you stand closer, magic. And everybody goes, all righty then. It's an opportunity, really rare, to be in the moment, invested in something you create. Really rare. For a lot of reasons. Not a lot of people are given that power. We'd like you to attend the board meeting of the corporation because we're going to be making some decisions. I'm a file clerk. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're having issues. HR is saying that morale is down. So we want people who are the morale of this company to just sit in on the meeting and listen to how we talk. And then we're going to listen to what you say. How often does that happen? Never. Why not? Well, it's 50,000 employees. Okay. It's not a think tank. It's a conversation. What's in it for you? Just the salary? Just the benefits? Just a place to come in out of the rain? Just a thing you don't want to know when you're working, you want to know when you're off? There's nothing else in it for you? Why did you take the job in the first place? All of the above? Is there any part of it that you're actually enjoying? Share, tell us. Let's do more of that. There's a great book written by a very insightful, clever fellow. His name is Daniel Pink. You can look him up. And the book is called Drive. And it's not an instruction manual on how to get your vehicle from point A to point B. Drive, defined by Daniel Pink, is the reason people show up. And by showing up, I don't mean appear in the hallway. I mean mentally and enthusiastically show up, take part, engage. And they discovered, they did a study, and they discovered that people, what drives people isn't a promotion. What drives people isn't a new title on the business card. What drives people, amazingly, isn't the money bonus. It helps, but that's not what drives them. What drives them is ownership. What drives them is pride of achievement, pride of participation. Every one of the kids, the crew, Les and I, the writers, the people stitching the whole thing together, we had pride of ownership of something no one else had ever done, that no one else has ever done since. We were not only first, we were only, and we still are. Why? Because no one has focused on what made us the WIIFM. No one has focused on why people needed that, what it answered, what it fed, what it applauded. No one has looked at the shift it made. I talk to people all the time. I bumped into somebody last night at our little gathering that I hadn't seen in, I don't know, 140 years. and and it was one of those, oh my gosh, how are you? And chit chat back and forth, and this has happened and that has happened. And he said, when we first met, because I was involved in not merely with the kids involved in the show itself, but in the creative community, there were lots of opportunities, and I was invited often to work with other creative kids in other places, performing arts high schools, acting camps, arts camps, school things, drama groups. I was invited to come in and talk to kids, to talk about why and how why they wanted and how they could have what the show delivered. And not that long ago, it was in the fall, I was invited to sit down and talk with some writing students at a broadcast college. And I said to them, did any of you watch the show? They're too young, And one of them said, yeah, our professor had us watch a couple of episodes on YouTube to get an idea. And I said, so do I have any credibility left whatsoever? Because, and they were all laughing. And I brought it up. I said, so what do you all want to write? What do you want to do? Where do you want to work? How do you want to make a change? And they all had these great ideas. Not a single one of them, having watched that show format, that structure. These are writers. Not a single one of them said to me, that 30-second format, that's pretty amazing. Not a single one of them said that the content was really tight, like there was no filler, because you had 30 seconds. And it wasn't written with a segue to the next sketch. They were in, thing, out, black, next. You think about it. You think about, while I'm talking, you think about after this video today, you reach out to me and tell me another show that is structured that way. Now, today, that's on air, anywhere. TikTok doesn't do it. You watch something that's 30 seconds long, but it's not created with that intention. It's short, it's snackable, but it's not structured that way. It's a pattern, and people are looking for the timing and the pace. A lot of the videos that you see are just clips of something longer. It's not the same thing. And for whatever reason, those innocent, quick, now you see it, now it's gone, glimpses were highly addictive and fascinating and funny and smart and irreverent and consistently great. That's what was in it for you. That writing was written for you. Those kids were chosen to represent you. The entire construction of that show was designed to support that writing and those kids, because the entire purpose was to make sure what was in it for you was better and bigger and juicier and crazier than any other option you could choose. We were heads, shoulders above everybody else, and we still are. And people, when I do the live events, people say, I'm showing the videos to my kids. They can't believe it. They can't, like they're glued to it. Oh, Dad, how old was that? How long ago was that? And yeah, just watch one episode. It's on YouTube. Just watch with me. Mom. And then all of a sudden, they're enjoying it because it doesn't matter when it was made. It's about kids figuring out where they stand in the family dynamic, in the school dynamic, in their tribe, figuring it out, making their way, getting it wrong, staring at the people they're supposed to learn from and saying, they don't know what they're doing. Why are they in charge? Hugely important. And by the way, that you invested your time then. When I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I said, it's a terrible thing to say, but most of the decision makers in the world today are the right age to have watched the show. So we kind of had a role to play in the way they make decisions now. If it's not going well, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Something just, they can all turn and look at me. Really? So we all captured magic in a bottle. I have to say, so Freddie's asking, I can't see the rest of the question, but I will in a second. Freddie's basically asking me what my favorite part of the show was. And there's a lot of favorite parts of the show. What I enjoyed the most, I mean, it's great to work with great people. It's great to have a great script. Any interview you see with actors, they go on, and it starts to be, oh, not this again. We were like a family, and it's this, and the director's amazing. It's not your everyday family. It's your other family. Your everyday family, it's kind of same old, same old. You forget how much you love them. You forget to say, I love you. You forget to say, Mom, I appreciate that you do this. We forget because it's every day. And we just get lazy. When you go in and you change out of you and you change into that and you wear your different hat and you go in and you have a job to do. And everybody's there because they have a job to do, and they're keen to do it because they enjoy each other and they enjoy this process because the show was great and the attitude and the intention. Like, it was a really great mix of personalities. My favorite parts of the show were when something went wrong and we managed it in real time. Either we couldn't just keep going because something disastrous happened, or we had to keep going because we had run out of time. And so you just have to fix it on the fly. And other times we just said, we'll just keep going until somebody else stopped, right? And what I loved in those moments, it's not like improvisation, although there is a certain level of improv involved. What was involved was people fearlessly thinking outside the plan to make something happen together. If one person took the lead and jumped in, it worked partly because they did that. However, it worked because everyone bought into it. Everyone knew and wanted and needed to have that sketch work. And sometimes, we would be doing something and we'd do it 3 or 4 times and somebody would say, why don't we add this? Now, we sat around a boardroom table for 5 days to talk about all of this. But it isn't until you're actually in the space, in the moment, that you say that, it's kind of fun. What if I do this? What if I do that? Can I try this? Yeah. Or there's no time to discuss it. You just do it, and the person reacting with you, There's a great sketch. It happened It happened at the very last season that Kevin Kubajeski was on the show, because he came back from the 5 week break and he'd grown, I don't know, 5 feet. He left, and I was taller than him. He came back, and he was significantly taller than me. And I mean, we're talking like I could look down at him like this. He was now looking down at me, and that doesn't work because his character wasn't the tall, gangly kid. So we had to rethink every one of the scenes he was in and shoot him sitting down, so that the focus wasn't about how tall he suddenly was. The focus was still on the point of the sketch, the point of the conversation and the conflict, right? And he was being what's the word I want to look for? Kevin. He was being Kevin that day. I think that sums it up. He was being Kevin. And the scene, I think he was with Martin. He might have been with Martin. I forget who he was with, but they were kneeling on the floor in the living room because Kevin had to be, and they were I think supposed to be playing a video game, and Kevin had the remote in his hand. And I walked in saying the thing I needed to say, do the thing, and he was not paying attention. He was not present. He was futzing around with the remote. So I didn't change how I was talking, but I just grabbed it out of his hand, and he didn't expect me to do it. And he had to put his head down and put his hand over his mouth because it made him laugh when that wasn't in the scene. And I just kept going. And when we'd done the scene, we kept it. It's not a blooper. So I don't remember which one it is, but I know that one of you will remember it. And the thing is, when I grabbed that remote, that was not planned. And his reaction to me startling him was not planned. And it changed the energy. It changed the energy in that thing, because when he was playing with the remote, he was ignoring me. That wasn't in the script. He was not doing his job. So I brought him back. Poof. But I didn't have to touch him. I just startled him. I loved moments like that. Not if I did it to them. I just loved it when it happened, whether it was done to me. Les used to find ways to try and break my focus. He would just quietly say something as I was turning to walk away. He would throw in something that wasn't in the script, and I would have to, because what am I supposed to do? And there's a picture. I love the picture. He's at the dining room table. It's in the first season. I don't have gloves on. And he has said something, and he's smirking because the crew are laughing. And I'm facing away, and I have my hands over my face because I got nothing. I love those moments. I love those moments. I love rehearsals. I love when the thing is being born and shaped, and it takes on a life of its own. I love that. That's magic. And one of the other things that happened in my conversation last night that reminded me of this whole WIIFM conversation. Everybody who went to witness the solar eclipse has commented on how quiet it was. Astonishing to see the transition. Eerie and strange and mystifying to see how dark it suddenly got. Temperature drop. And how quiet it was. So the interesting thing about, you read all the social comments, you listen to what people, did you go and see it? Yeah, my God, wasn't that incredible? So it wasn't quiet because the eclipse made no noise. Like, it wasn't going to go click, click, right? It was quiet because everyone was completely in the moment. What was in it for them was that moment. that witnessing of nature, because it doesn't happen every day. It's a rare thing. The silence was everyone choosing at the same time to pay attention. The silence was everyone saying, this is what's in it for me. The reason it was remarkable is not because that's what they did. It was remarkable because that's what people don't do. The absence of distractions is not something we're comfortable with. We need to feel occupied. We need to feel involved. We need to feel busy. And all of those things make noise. Standing still and breathing and just experiencing, we so seldom do. If I said, have you done that lately? The inner thought is, what's in it for me? And what's in it for you, what's in it for us, is that reset moment. How did I get off course? Check the compass. Ooh, turn the boat. If we don't look at the compass, if we don't take a break, if we don't step outside the spinning treadmill and check our bearings, and then frantic, get back. Okay. Is what's in it for you the confusion? Is what's in it for you the disorientation, the frustration? Is what's in it for you, I can't be bothered, let's let somebody else drive my bus? Is that what's in it for you? No, it isn't. You know how I know that? Because of the way everybody said, oh my God, yesterday, that was amazing. It was amazing. People loved it. Why don't we do that more often? Why don't we do a reset? Why don't we take our emotional pulse? When we wake up tired, why don't we ask, why am I tired? We don't. We get up and say, oh God, I'm so tired. Okay, there's a reason. Tired is the effect. There was a cause. Why aren't we checking it out? What's in it for us to ignore it? Effort. I can't be bothered. It's not that bad. I'm fine. Stop fussing. Okay. I'll tell you something interesting. This is part of it. The what's in it for me. I was talking to this person I hadn't seen in so many years. And I was talking about doing the special events, the FanCon and Ottawa Comic Con and Montreal Comic Con and so on. And I said, you know what's really amazing about those events for somebody like me? Hang on a second. It isn't the coffee. What's amazing for somebody like me who I'm in the business of making entertainment, writing, creating shows, creating events. I'm not a spectator. I do watch some shows, but I'm not, oh, I can't wait to get my next installment of something. In my lifetime, I have never said I just binge watched something. I'm checking in to see what's going on, getting the pulse, and then I'm going back to what I'm doing. Because that's what's in it for me, is what I'm doing. So when I go to these fan events, I have no idea what most of the characters are, because I haven't seen those shows. You know, somebody walks by dressed like the side of a mountain, and I don't think, oh my God, I loved you in that show. I'm thinking, did you drive here dressed like that? And if you didn't drive here dressed like that, like the shoes, or like how did you brake, gas? I said, if you didn't drive here dressed like that, where on earth did you find a space big enough to change into that? There is no bathroom cubicle big enough to change into that. And so that's again, I'm thinking as a performer. I'm thinking of somebody who's like, where do I put this on and take it off? So I'm not distracted by what they're supposed to represent. I'm fascinated by the fact that they are representing, that this is the what's in it for them. That's why they're coming. They're part of something and they're excited to be here. And they've invested a lot of time and effort and money in creating that costume to be part of something. Very cool. Very interesting to look at, even if I have no idea what it's supposed to represent. If I sound like an idiot, I just say, Mom. So the thing I noticed it the first time. And it was one of those, wait a minute. And then I kept checking in on it. And I kept looking around. And at one point, I said to one of the people, might have been David, could have been Greg. David, if you're watching, you'll remember. I said, nobody's on their cell phones. The only time they're using their cell phones is to take a selfie. They're not on their phones. There's 40,000 people in this building, and they're not on their phones. None of them. And when I would take a break and walk around, or I just stand there and watch people coming and going, nobody on their phones. And the sound of those people and the energy coming from them, radiating from them, partly was, I'm at a loud, crazy, wild, many visual distractions event. This is the key part of my day, week, month, year. It's partly that. A big other part, though, is that they were 100% present. This was what was in it for them. Being here now. And by the way, all day. Ottawa Comic Con, I think, opened in mid-afternoon on the Friday, all day Saturday, most of Sunday. And people came more than once. All these people, whether dressed up, working, or coming to buy and see and do and be, present and accounted for, engaged. Their drive, their purpose, their focus, their energy, their excitement was, I am part of this. And it is awesome. What's your favorite? Freddie just asked me, what was your favorite part of working at You Can't Do It on television? If I had said, what's your favorite part of being here? The answer would be being here. So this is a very interesting question because I think about it a lot. I'm creating content for a purpose, and the purpose is to reach out and touch and wake up and generate response from people who either aren't directly in front of me, as now, or in a studio audience, or in a stage audience, or on a street in a public place. My goal is to create a connection. And for whatever reason they came, they have a different reason for staying and coming back. And the different reason for staying and coming back is the result of what I bring to them that they receive. The WIIFM for them when they came is not the WIIFM for them to stay and come again. That's my job. And so professionalism and camaraderie, oh yeah. The fun, as Freddie's saying, the way we got along, The fact that we genuinely liked being there, we genuinely liked and had fun with the idea. I mean, we weren't all best friends. You know, there were some people who liked some people more than others, but we liked the opportunity of doing this together. And as a result of liking the process, we enjoyed each other. We weren't all best friends, but we were a really cool team. And every time we pulled it off, it was like, and that, you know, that lasts a lifetime. When I see the kids, when I bump into one of them, you know, someplace, or what happened, you know, last night. I don't know if you remember this, but, and I'm standing there listening to the memory and I think, oh my God, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I remember, yeah. And then this and this, right? And this person said, oh, you got a good memory. Yeah, well, you know, it was memorable at some point, and that's the thing you keep. So the conversation today and the conversation on Tuesday and the conversation last Thursday is this. We, thee and me, share, we shared, we share, we will always share a turning point moment in our lives. We will never not have that turning point moment. It's part of who we are. And the more we revisit it, the more we talk about it, the more we take a minute out of the day, okay, take a few minutes out of the day, to look at what it's done, how it's changed our WIIFM song, how we see the world as a result of those things that we can still watch thanks to the internet. That is never going to go away. I am never not going to be seen in that outfit till the end of time. and how many other things off the top of your head do that for you? How many people do you share a turning point moment that lasted years and years and years and years while you were going through puberty, while you were discovering who you are? How many other people do you know that you can have those memories with? The other day, a fellow that I went to college with came up from Kingston to have lunch with me. And we shared memories of things that we did in college that, you know, we were laughing. And I said, how on earth did we survive those things? What were we thinking? And we are still laughing about it now. And it's been a while. And in comparison with a lot of other stuff that goes on, those memories are still pretty spectacular. The stuff that we did. What? It's memorable. And we knew it at the time, but we were busy because we were doing it at the time. We didn't really take a step back. However, every time we've seen each other and we remember these things, and I'm saying, what on earth was I thinking? What were you doing? What was that about? And it's such a joy. It's such a joy to have that moment. And it took me 241 videos to realize that I was not stepping up, that this joy that we are having in episode 240, 2, 3, and now hopefully this one, 244, is reflected in the number of people who watch it. I am talking with you, to you, about your WIIFM, about the thing that transformed everything. Me too. And how often do you get to do that? Not often enough. How often, after a moment like this, when the video ends, how often do you get to sit there for a second and say, best time ever. Not this video, watching that show, best time ever. My job is bringing that remembered emotion back. That's what these last few videos are doing. And I'm going to do more of them because they feel amazing for me. And with any luck, they're feeling amazing for you. I want lots and lots of people saying, hell yeah, what a time it was. And if we're watching it now and talking about it now, what a time it still is. I want to be shifting your WIIFM with you now. I know why you came. Now I'm purposefully going to give you a reason to come back again and stay and tell your friends. That's the goal. That's the Pivotry in motion moment right here. So 11 o'clock. This has been a wonderful experience. I cannot thank you enough for making this work the way it's working. I hope more of us get to see this and say, oh my gosh, yeah. And whether you can watch it live and I can see your comments, or you watch it on your own time and your own terms, you can reach out. You know, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on LinkedIn. Reach out and say, you know what? One of my favorite moments was. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep your WIIFM, your what's in it for me, growing and changing and evolving. Let's keep you present. What do you say? Is it a deal? I hope so. I hope so. So the weekend's coming. Stuff to do. I haven't finished spring cleaning. So now that the temperatures are staying up, I finally have a really legitimate excuse to put away all the winter clothes and not keep tripping over them. So that's my big priority this weekend. And I will be back on Tuesday with more cool stuff and more memories and more present day. What are we doing now with that memory? And I hope you're going to join me. I hope you're going to join me, and I hope you're going to tell your friends. That's the plan I'm pushing for. Okay. So between now and then, be good to you. Savor those moments. Check in on yourself. What is in it for you right now to do that? And if you're liking it, go for it. And remember to hug your loved ones. They deserve it. And I will catch you next time.